Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight my guests are, first up, he's ABW's heaviest member. It's Danny the GFP, or BFG, whatever.
I've lost £17 this week.
And where did you lose that?
Well, every time I have a poo, I put it in a bucket and keep it at the end of my bed, and at the end of every month I weigh it. So far, it's £17 this month. Well, does include all the flies that are on it.
You are an unbelievably filthy urchin. Disgusting. Next up, the manager under the most pressure in world football. It's Arsene Carpenter. Hello, Kris. I hear it's been quite a week.
I did not hear it or see it at all. Hello.
Oh, it's you've kept my Twitter feed alive this week.
I have done nothing, Mr. Gimli.
You have. You've angered a lot of people.
Wow.
And tonight we are getting answers.
Okay, I have a carefully prepared statement ready.
Okay, well, when we get to it, you can read it, but not before.
Okay.
And finally, the man with the biggest quiff in sports journalism, it's Simon Collings. Hello, Simon.
How you doing, Gim?
Not too bad, thank you. And have you been busy this week?
Been pretty busy. I've been trying to keep up on Pirate Fan TV and everything they've been getting out. But I mean, whoever's running that account's got a lot more time than I do. So hats off to them, to be honest.
The one thing that I get from it all is it seems it's turned incredibly toxic. I think you've gone too far, Kris. I don't think there's any saving you after this, but like I said, we'll talk about it later in the show.
I've heard a rumour that whoever runs Pirate Fan TV is on £250,000 a year.
Really?
And it's all Chris's fault.
So
if Kris dies...
It can only be 5 then.
Well, it's his own money he puts in. He played in doubloons.
I'm waiting for merchandise.
Oh, can't wait. Carpenter out, and League On is a feeder league. That T-shirt, that'll sell loads.
Yeah, you asked Pep Guardiola about that. Fucking best coach in the world, my ass.
Well, it's not like he's doing anything midweek for the rest of the season, is it?
No, apart from playing defenders up front and keepers up front and strikers in goal, and yeah.
I just think a plain black tee with Chris Larden on it, Carp Larden.
Carp Larden.
If you had that on it. We'll post pictures later. It's fine. Well, first things first then. We'll kick off by going straight to Danny Davis. You might want to fast forward this for the next 10 minutes because Danny's going to do his normal 10 minutes worth of bullshit. Danny.
Firstly, thank you to George Bird at arsenalyouth.wordpress.com. He lets us use this, means I don't have to write it out. Super Dan Crowley provided an assist and was booked and played the full game as Go Ahead Eagles lost 3-1 to PSV Eindhoven. Never mind. It looks like they may well not go down this season. And they were at rock bottom when he went there, I think. Wojciech Szczesny played the whole game and kept a clean sheet as Roma beat Palermo 3-0. Damn you. Palermo, my little team. Well, they used to be when they were in Division 4. Christian Bielik played the vast majority of Birmingham's 1-1 draw with Cardiff City, tidy, being withdrawn in the 5th minute of stoppage time at the end of the second half. The Polish youth international, who played in a 3-man defence, which is quite trendy at the moment, was booked just before half-time. Good, because they've had a terrible run recently. Kilichi, unpronounceable, played the vast majority of MVV Maastricht's 1-0 victory over Dordrecht. Oh, I've got 2 missing. Before being he got replaced by Stefan O'Connor, to be sure, Irish legend, Jesus. In the 2nd minute of stoppage time, that's some Stefan O'Connor up for you. At the end of the second half, it was O'Connor's first appearance in 14 games. I think all season, O'Connor, if you add up all the games that he's played and all the minutes that he's played, it adds up to about 2.5 minutes. Mark Bowler, who is I think he's a left back. He's on loan at Notts County, and he has played every single game since he has been there. And they beat Hartlepool United 2-1, and he is having a hell of a run there, which is really good to see him go and do well there. Matt Macey, the goalkeeper, played the full game as Luton Town lost 2-0 to Stevenage. Caelan Hines was an unused substitute for Stevenage. And I watched Matt Macey play on TV the other day. Luton were playing someone and they lost. I think they lost 3-2. He's bloody hell. He's a fucking unit. Ismail, also unpronounceable, don't have to relate to the other unpronounceable, played 17 minutes for Tours in their 3-1 win against Orleans. I'm not sure if that's New Orleans, but Orleans in the French Div 2. Takuma Asano played 66 minutes as Stuttgart drew 1-1 with Bochum, and now Stuttgart are about 5 points clear in the top of the German second division after only going down last season, so they'll be straight back up. You ready, Gim?
Yeah, I'm good.
Gideon ZLM?
No.
Don't put that on to wash.
No.
It's going to make noise, you shitbag. Thank you very much. He came on in the 61st minute as VVV.
Oh, sorry.
Beat Fortuna Sittard 4-1. So it's VVV, 4 Vs. I having a tooth missing. Jack Wilshere was brought on in the 85th minute as Bournemouth beat...
Whoa. Say 85th again.
85th.
Say sausages.
Sausages?
Say 5.
Huh?
Say 5.
5. What if there's 85 fifes?
You're fucked.
So I was listening to a podcast today, and they were saying that the reason why Jack Wilshere has not been playing recently is because Bournemouth have gone to a 4-4-2, and they've now got Benik Afobe playing up front with the Norwegian legend that is Mr. King, and that there isn't room in midfield, and so that means Jack is third choice central midfielder at Bournemouth, and it doesn't look like they want to buy him anymore. Which I thought
Mr. King was busy protesting.
Well,
Josh King, sorry.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Joel Campbell came on in the 86th minute and was booked as Sporting Lisbon beat Tondela. I think that's a made-up name, 4-1. They beat Bimble Bomple. Might as well say that. Chupa Chupa
Akpom
was an unused substitute as Brighton and Hove Albion beat Derby County 3-0. I'll tell you what, the Championship is hotting up. It looked like Newcastle were running away with it, and now they've faltered, and Derby and then Brighton are doing brilliant. Chris, if people want to hear more about that, where should they go?
At Football Hips, at the FH podcast, and they can listen to Ross, who knows more about Championship football than Danny knows about gluten-free stuff. No, he knows lots. He's very, very good. Have a listen.
Yes. And the Championship is indeed a fantastic league to watch. And Tafari Moore was an unused substitute for Utrecht reserves.
A substitute? What's a substitute, Danny?
Fuck knows. Hold on. If I put my finger in my mouth, then I can say fuck off.
Superb.
But then I have to talk with a finger in the gap. Oh, Jesus, a story of John's life. And their 1-0 defeat to Achilles 29. And we all know Achilles is their defence. Callum Chambers missed out through injury as Middlesbrough lost 2-0 to Manchester City in the FA Cup. And they've just got rid of Icor Karanka. And if they get Steve McLaren, I tell you what, I will do a naked protest up outside Ayresome Park. Because that's not there anymore, is it? Super John Terrell wasn't involved as Rangers drew 1-1 with Celtic. He recently scored his first goal for them, which is brilliant. He's having a good time up there. They've got a new manager as well. And Julio Unpronounceable. No relation to the other two. Bless you. Wasn't involved, surprisingly, as Mallorca drew 1-1 with Lugo. I don't know if that's a Volkswagen Lugo. I think it could well be. And Aaron Iomia wasn't involved as Volendam beat Helmand Sport 1-0. Right, thank you very much to George Bird for doing that. He is on Twitter, and it's JEORGE Bird. So thank you very much for letting him use that. On our injury list, we got the Ox is out for 5 days. Oh, no, will be out. Hamstring, he's missed 5 days. Gibbs is out. Ankle non-specified. 5 days lost. And Sandy Cazorla be back in a month. Bullshit. And that's from us.
Have we actually got any of our loan players out, any of our youngsters that are looking anywhere near decent or close to being near the first team next year?
Oh, that's a good question. John Terrell, he was player of the season last season with Birmingham, and he's doing brilliantly at Rangers. So he could be one who might get a few games.
Christian Bielik is impressing a lot of people in the Championship at the moment.
At centre back,
at Birmingham, yeah.
He's because these will all count as homegrown players as well. Yeah, you have to have 8 in the Premier League squad. So he's looking really good. Martinez, our goalkeeper, I think he's good enough to be second choice. If Ospina gets the ump and wants to leave. What other ones have we got in there? ZLM, I think you should forget about him.
No.
He had a good loan at Rangers last season, but he's done fuck all this season. Kalichi Nakawakalaki, he looks pretty good.
Daniel Marlon is the one that they're really looking at, but he's not on loan, is he? So that doesn't count.
No, he's not talking about those ones. We've got the under-23s. They drew at home 3-3 with Manchester City. We were 2-0 down after half an hour, and Donnell Mallon scored one with a Reece Nelson. That's another name to jot down, people. Then Reece Nelson scored again himself. I think it's Reece. Yeah, it is Reece. Then Man City made it 3-2 with a penalty, and then Carl Jenkinson, Mr. Arsenal, Corporal Jenkinson, 95th minute goal with an assist by Eddie Nikita. We got some really decent young forward players, because at the moment we played Sonogo up front, and Willock, Nelson, and Mullen all played behind him.
What about Stefan Mavidi? He's supposed to be very, very well liked
at Charlton,
isn't he? Yeah.
Do we think that this has now gone on sufficiently enough to have wound up Welsh Justice?
He won't be listening.
No, he'll have skipped all this, won't he? So basically, we can say whatever we want about him right now.
He's probably gone to the fridge to get another family pack of Kit Kats to get his way through.
I met him last month, and I have to say, what a lovely, lovely bloke.
Did he touch you?
How much has he paid you to say that?
No, he's not paid me anything to say that. I've just said we met up, we had a couple of coffees, and we had a good time.
Didn't try and beat you up or anything then?
He told me some stories, but I can't. They're unrepeatable for air.
Everything he says is fucking unrepeatable, dirty shit. Anyway, so we've got some Maitland-Niles is looking pretty good. I think the Jeff, not happy with the Jeff, Chris. We all thought he'd be brilliant, didn't we? And he's not been brilliant.
Well,
every time he's played for the first team.
If you'd have, I'm not going to say that because I'll get more hate mail saying I'm a know-it-all. But I did say that Yassine Fortune is the better player, and I know you haven't seen anything of him yet. But I thought the Jeff train might be a little bit presumptuous. I think maybe, but he's still good.
He sounds like he's still in a fucking station from what I've seen.
But this Reece Nelson kid, he's 17. He's only just gone 17 in December, and he's already playing regularly for the under-23s. This season, he has played 14 games and got 5 goals. He's 17, and he's playing against people that are 4, 5, 6, 7 years older than him.
And quite possibly off to Celtic next season. As Simon's just put in the chat. And as is Chris Willock, apparently. Brendan Rodgers wants him as well. Okay.
You should say that's on loan, not...
Yes. Yes.
Well, Chris Willock this season. Chris Willock is only just got 19 in January. For the under-23s, he's got 3 in 16, but he is more of a... I think he can play both wing, he can play support striker, he can play midfield. At that age, I think they play just about anywhere. But that'd be good if they get, especially if they go up to that feeder league and then they'll score 60 or 70 in a season. And right, so the under-18s drew 2-2 with at home to Reading. They scored, Willock scored, they scored, and then Smith Rowe, he scored. We played a 4-4-2 in that lot. And Kwame Ampadu is doing a really good job with the under-18s. So, yeah, that's nice to see.
Is that the one that in the wheelchair that he does the basketball?
That's Danny.
Or is that Abby Apitu or something like that, isn't it? I don't know.
I think you've dug yourself a hole there and no one's going to give you a hand out of it.
Have you heard of the lad who's tearing it up at Exeter at the moment, who our very own Ross has been telling me a lot? Arsenal scouted this kid a lot of times. Have you heard about this?
No.
Is that his
son?
His name? I think his son.
I believe it is. Yeah, I think it is his son.
He made his debut when he was like 15 against Liverpool, didn't he?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. He's we've scouted him like 12, 13 times this season apparently, and he plays for Exeter. I will look up his name while you do stuff.
Is it Cliff Bastin?
No, it is Ampadu, I think. But
Ramondi was at the Monaco game.
Yeah, no prizes for guessing it. He wasn't looking at Gail fucking Clichy, that's for sure.
So just to clarify, it's not the one that does the wheelchair basketball then?
No.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the roundup all done.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. Jason, you can listen again now.
Yeah, you can listen again, Jason. We're all done. We might have said some nasty things about you in the last bit. I can't be held responsible for that. No. So we'll start off tonight's podcast by talking about our 5-0 win against Lincoln in the FA Cup. For his thoughts, we'll go to Simon.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games that was, I think before it started, chatting in the WhatsApp group and amongst each other, we were saying it's sort of those lose-lose games where you either smash Lincoln 5-0, as we did in the end, and everyone goes, oh, you're supposed to win, or as would have been a catastrophe, you lose, and it's a big shock. So you were never going to get any credit for it. And fair play to Lincoln. I thought for the first half an hour, 35 minutes, even right up to Theo's goal just before half time, they battled superbly. I mean, they worked incredibly hard. They pressed, but as soon as that goal went in, you could see the legs go out of them, and that's where the fitness superiority all told, and it became a bit of almost like a friendly in the second half, was it? I mean, Giroud got in on the act, Sanchez, Ramsey, and it was very, very easy. And afterwards, the manager said, it felt like they had 15 in the second half, and it was about as comfortable as an FA Cup tie as Wenger could have wanted. Whether it got any pressure off him, I'm sure we'll discuss that later on, but I don't think so. But it was as routine as routine could be against a non-league team.
No, I completely agree. I think I described it a good way before the podcast when I said it was a bit like an Emirates Cup match, more like an exhibition game than anything. But, I mean, Lincoln were 88 places below Arsenal. Did it show in their performance, Kris?
Yeah, second half especially. First half they were decent. They were organised. I know the Cowley brothers are getting a lot of praise, and rightly so, for the jobs they've done down there. I did just to be a little bit of a killjoy, I did have a bit of a problem with this attitude of, well, we're the underdogs, let's just go out and kick a few players and quote unquote let them know we're around. I do get a bit tired of lesser clubs thinking that the way to beat higher clubs is kick them off the pitch and get nasty fouls.
Is that how the Pirates play?
No, because we don't win games, so
fair enough.
That's how we do. This is going to be a theme, isn't it? But
yes.
Yeah, and that Matt Reed, I think, I know people who watch non-league football have said, "Oh no, he's pretty good. He's got a decent bollocks. The guy is dog shit." I'm sorry. If you can't, I know he's playing at a lower league, and I know that there aren't players in tip-top condition, but there's a lot of very good athletes in lower league football. He's just a fat bloke who uses his arms well. That's what he is. And one little back heel on the touchline under no pressure doesn't change my view on that. So, from an Arsenal point of view, like you said, the gap in the second half was huge. They tired, which you'd expect them to on a big pitch playing against a side of Arsenal's level. And exactly what Simon said. I was never really at any point worried, to be perfectly honest. That's not arrogance, it's genuinely how I felt. As soon as we scored that goal right before half time, for me that was game over. And like you said, Gim, you couldn't win. If we won 10-0, it would be, there is an easy game. And if we won 2-0 like we did against Sutton, we'd have underperformed. So we kind of got middle ground. The most important thing is we qualified and bring on the world's greatest manager in the semi-finals.
And I think that it was the overall theme from all of us tonight that we were only really going to skim over this game. We weren't really going to go into much detail with it, just because Premier League games, you get lots of action. There's plenty to talk about, and it's good competitive football. With this, it's not being disrespectful to Lincoln. It's just saying, it is what it is. We all expected it. Let's talk a little bit about it, but not give it too much time.
I think it's like John Welsh in a nightclub. We can talk about it all night and we won't get anywhere. So.
Very true.
I think the point should be made that I complained when we played Sutton that we didn't do anything, and I kind of guessed then, I remember saying it on the pod, that maybe Wenger's tactics was go out there, take it easy. We're not out here to beat them 15-0. Let them run themselves ragged, and then we'll just go and score a few goals and we win them. And that's exactly what we did against Sutton, and that's what we did against Lincoln. Just made sure that no one got injured. We won the game, and we just did it all properly. So I had a bit of a moan last time, but it's what's to be expected when you're playing people who will go, oh, I played that time and I kicked Ozil in the testicles, or I tried to kill Sanchez.
Some of those tackles were. Do we mind if we bring up BT Sport at this point, Gim? Can we
go
bring
for it. Go for it.
Well, Chris Sutton. I've already been told off for using this word, but I'll go with it again. Chris Sutton's a cunt, and the man is. I mean, don't get me wrong. If anyone can't see through what he's doing, I think they're a bit naive. He's clearly a pundit who says things to cause controversy.
He's the modern day Stuart Robson.
He is, yes, exactly what he's like, Danny. That's well said. He does say things to provoke. He's playing up to the fact that everyone goes, oh, he's a miserable git, isn't he? You hear him on Radio 5. How he gets a job on there, I don't know. And he's just a very miserable bloke, but he's also a very, very bitter, very sad little man. Probably has a small cock. Won a title at Blackburn when basically Alan Shearer carried his career for 4 or 5 seasons. As Steve's made light of in this podcast, he then faked an injury at Highbury, playing for Blackburn at one point, and he's got a bit of a beanis bonnet about us. He had a stellar career at Chelsea. I think he got 1 goal in his 2 seasons. That was a good signing there. And other certain things we can't maybe bring up on this podcast for liable reasons. But he's a very miserable man. And when he sort of loudly exclaimed praise at a Lincoln player trying to put I can't remember who it was, trying to put an Arsenal player into the crowd, and he's like, "Oh, here he comes!" Woof! Oh, that's the good old days. And yet, when Mesut Ozil shoulder challenged somebody into the floor towards the end, he said, "Oh, well, that's how was that not a foul?" And I just take great happiness in the fact that not only did Arsenal get through, we made Chris Sutton's night very, very miserable. And I think BT Sport, there's a theme developing here: McManaman, Owen, Sutton. There's Rio Ferdinand. There's a bit of a theme developing here. They seem to like to employ people with limited intelligence. Did
you say Robbie Savage?
Oh, there's another one. Yeah.
We tried to sign Chris Sutton.
Did we? Well, I'm very glad that didn't happen. Maybe that's why he's bitter.
He explained it on Graham Hunter's podcast. We both, us and Blackburn, agreed 5 million quid to both pay but we were going to pay 5 million quid, and he went to Blackburn instead. So.
Oh wow! Well,
that just shows you what a massive cunt the bloke is. Sorry,
it just amused me when you
won over by Dalglish, I think so.
Oh well, there we go. That says it all. But I just think in the modern era, when commentary, I mean, we're a podcast, we can be as biased as we want. But when you're a professional broadcaster of high caliber football entertainment, I just think to be that sort of firmly in the corner of the opposition, I thought was a little bit cringe, to say the least.
Remember, he won the title with Blackburn and then stayed with them, and then they got relegated because Blackburn only won it because of Alan Shearer's brilliant. And then he made a big money move to Chelsea, and that season with Chelsea, he played 28 Premier League games, got 1 goal. So they fucked him off to a shit league. I mean, actually, the Celtic wasn't a shit. Scottish League wasn't a shit league then. It was just on the tail end of being a really interesting league.
No, Fred. Danny, the Scottish League has always been shit. Just.
I'll tell you what. You go back to the days when Ray Wilkins and Mark Haitley and Mo Johnson, all that lot were there. That league was a fantastic league. Yeah. Oh, Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And
that old Rangers team used to have like the ball.
Lovenkrantz.
Peter Lovenkrantz. Do you remember Jorg Alberts? He had a foot like a fucking traction engine. That boy.
German left back.
Alan Partridge sat there.
Twat. Striker. No,
Striker.
He was a player, Jorg Alberts, and Celtic had Di Canio and George. Do you remember
Henrik Larsson?
Do you want me to tell you a very, very, very quick story about my friend who used to live in London a couple of years ago now, not far from Finsbury actually, and he was moving into his house and he had the delivery lorry outside and whatnot, and he was struggling with some boxes, and this sort of quite big haired sort of bloke comes out, hair like up in a ponytail, and offered him some help. And he turned around and said, "Oh yeah, if you wouldn't mind, mate, that'd be great." And it was no less than Celtic's ex-striker George Cadet, who lived next door.
Portuguese legend.
Indeed.
And if Chris is listening, just remember you got relegated with Blackburn from the Premier League, and you got relegated with Birmingham City from the Premier League. You are a twat.
Yes, and you are a very, very poor pundit who's got one gimmick.
And he managed Lincoln and was shit there, and he got 1 cap for England and was shit then.
Yeah. So that was my rant. Sorry. Carry on.
Tell us how you really feel, Chris. Come on, mate.
He's a cunt.
Personally, I think that you should read out the email that you got sent this week. This is very much an off-piste podcast. You get the impression that we're all really bored and we're on a bit of a wind-up and there's not really much to talk about. So we're just going to take the piss out of everything. It's like an After Dark, but less libel.
It's more Arsenal-themed.
Yes, it's a more Arsenal-themed After Dark. Do you care to read them... the email that you got, name no names, and no names.
Well, I don't know who the person is. I don't know the name. To be honest, I don't really want to give them too much airtime
because it's funny.
Well, I mean, it's a bit. I might be accused of reading it in the wrong voice again or something like. I don't want to.
5,000 people this week listening to this, thinking, "Fuck, I wanted to hear that."
Yeah, but what if they all agree to it? I'll be sacked. I mean,
No, you
more on that
won't.
later.
You won't be sacked. You do our radio show. We can't really sack you. Nobody else wants to do it.
The truth comes out now. Danny, you getting this down?
Certainly
Jesus.
am.
And no, in all fairness, the radio show kicks the podcast ass every week, so you must be doing something right.
Only when
people
it's
are
been
miserable.
a fucking disaster. He gets smacked. The bigger the defeat, the more bloody listeners we get. Sometimes we get 10,000.
And the highest
we like
listens
being
we
miserable. That's the problem. We like being miserable.
We do.
And I'm trying to install a bit of happiness in this. Maybe, Chris, if you had that email that you received in front of you and you just read out a few keywords.
It doesn't matter how many times you ask me. I'm not going to read this email.
No, just the keywords. Just the condescending. Did they use condescending?
There's all right. I'll read you one line. All right, that's all you're getting.
Read the best line. Read the best line.
I've got to find it. Hang on.
This is wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a treat.
Close all those board tabs. Close that.
All right, get comfortable. Okay. All right.
8-tube.
If you don't have an opinion on arson in, arson out debate, no problem. But stop being so disrespectful to people that do want a change of manager. On your pod and on Twitter, I see you constantly mock these people in such a patronising and mocking way, including, when on the pod, you sometimes put on a ridiculous voice. You mock others. Quite frankly, you belittle them. For what exactly? Having an opinion? Having a protest to voice their views, from what I can tell, in a peaceful manner. I could be mistaken, but I believe you've previously touched on the fact that you're entitled to an opinion and people couldn't question that. And yet when others have an opinion, you mock and belittle them. Sorry, sir, that's double standards in my opinion. So there you go. That's a little flavour of feedback.
You're right.
And like I said, we're not going to name any names, but Alfonso from Little Clarendon, we are very sorry.
Mr. J. Davies from Cardiff, that's harsh in the extreme. But
you only noticed it because it had Kit Kat smeared all over it.
All I'm going to say is to the listener, thank you for tuning in and thank you for your interest in our affairs.
I think it was from Chris Sutton, but that's just a guess.
I feel we've dealt with this in the best way possible.
I think so. Thank you for your feedback, sir. It's appreciated, even if I don't agree. Let's move on.
We all agree, though.
Of course.
If you have any more feedback on Chris or any other of the panelists, we are at Bergkamp Wonderland at gmail.com. So get in touch.
It's better than when I just tweeted to Skype, you fucking arseholes. See, short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah.
At least that bloke was polite.
He was, or he or she. I mean, I don't necessarily agree, but you have the right to your opinion. I'm very sorry if I've upset or offended anyone.
Oh.
Anyway, shall we talk some more Arsenal?
Carpenter out. We should talk about the Arsene Wenger protests on here because there were more protests before the game, and I believe there's going to be, is it a plane or something flying over West Brom on Saturday? Am I right? I could be wrong.
I think they're planning to do. I don't know if they've got permission or not, or the money off. I think that was the idea. Yeah, I don't know if it's going ahead or not though. But
isn't it a no-fly zone? Didn't I read that?
That's what someone was saying, but I don't. I don't know.
Birmingham,
did you say a no-fly zone?
Yeah, I think Darren Berry's paying for the banner to be trailed behind the plane. It says
they're trailing that email behind the fucking plane. That's what it is. That email is going to be behind the plane.
Thank you for your interest in our affairs.
I think Gimli was pointing out it's a Mo fly zone.
Yes, I know.
They're going to get Mo to the top of a big building and give his ears a little wiggle and shove him off, and he'll just glide across the stadium.
Like one of those little gliders you bought as a kid that you had to put together.
Oh dear.
My word. Oh, this has gone to complete shit this evening. I think it's the whole having problems with Skype recording beforehand that's done it. But Danny, let's get your thoughts on the Arsene Wenger protest. Do you think they are futile?
Well, there's different factions to it. You've got mouthy little pricks who are doing it to get attention. We all know they are. And then you've got people like Mark King, who I would say I refer to them as an E-friend because I only know them from actually no, I do know him because I've spoken to him. Yeah, so they're not an electronic friend. I have met him. I've spoken to him a few times, and I like Mark. And Mark is very passionate about the club, and I think he's going about it in the right way. But there's too many hanger-ons doing other things just so they can get their ugly mugs on TV. When Mark really cares about the club and he wants to see the best for the club, but I think he is annoying some people. But he plays the game. He plays the Twitter game by winding people up. So, just let people go and do what they want. There's a certain section of the Arsenal fans that are doing it for their own benefit. Mark isn't doing it for his own benefit. Mark doesn't want 70,000 followers. He's just angry with the way things are going, and he speaks for a lot of people. But I just think, let people get on with it as long as there's no violence involved and we don't start fighting amongst ourselves. But it should be aimed at the owner, because unless the owner leaves, then nothing else is going to change.
That's true. Kris, let's get your thoughts on this. See if you can dampen us.
Dampen you?
Dealing with the situation yourself after getting smashed at the weekend.
Well, exactly. No, I mean, it's a lot's been said, and of course people are going to expect me to come on here and, have a go at the people that are doing that. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I think my views, Gim. I'm not a fan of protests. My personal opinion is they don't achieve, to me, in my view, they don't achieve a thing. And what I mean by that is, yes, that there's national coverage. Yes, they did go on some radio stations, some TV shows. Yes, there's a lot across social media, but to me, it doesn't really change the fact that as long as the board and the owners are in charge at Arsenal, whether you like it or you don't, Arsene Wenger is doing the job that they request. Is he being given the right tools to do that job to the best of his ability? I would argue that. Some people would disagree. Some people would say he is, I see the word stale banded around a lot, and I can understand the people that say that. It's a very, very difficult and a very divisive topic. I think the only thing that we all agree on, whether you're in, you're out, or the camp that I personally put myself in, is that I support the manager who's in place at the moment and will continue to do so until he's no longer in place. That doesn't make me an in or an out. I'm just, I'm not desperate for change, but I'd be happy to embrace it if it happens. But I think we all agree that things should be done respectfully. Some of the chants were disrespectful. The chants of Arsene Wenger, "You're killing our club," are nothing short of ridiculous and completely infactual. And some of the way that people carry themselves, the Wexit banner was beyond hilarious. The gentleman who compared Arsene Wenger to Mugabe, I mean, frankly, just go away. I mean, things like that. We laughed when Man United flew a plane over Old Trafford asking for Moyes out, and now there's people suggesting that that's what will inflict change. What is there a GoFundMe page to try and fund this venture?
Yes, it's raised £2,000 last time I looked.
Wow, I mean that's incredible for a club that turns over billions of pounds a year, isn't it? I mean it's just silly. I think the way, if you want to protest, fair enough. I personally don't think that pieces of paper and a march is the way to do it. I think Danny agrees with me on this one. Don't buy merchandise. Don't feed Puma's pockets. And I know people will. A lot of people have a go at me for this because I don't go week in, week out because I can't. But if I'm that unhappy with something, I don't go. If I see a film at the cinema that I don't enjoy, I don't go back and see it again 4 times the next week. And I know that's hard, but it doesn't make you any less of a fan if you just put your hand in your pocket and say, actually, I'm not going to go this week. I'm going to give my seat to somebody else because until this changes, I'm not enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying it, I just don't understand why people would spend all that money and then voice concerns that they have when they know. And I think deep down, if you ask these people, I think a vast majority of them, because there are some very, as Danny said, some very intelligent people, in amongst this protest. They're not all, they're not all Neanderthals. They're not all people that are incorrect. There's some very genuine and very honest people with intelligence in it. But I think if you asked all of them, if they really seriously think that Arsene Wenger's just going to leave his job on a whim because there's a few people voicing concerns, I don't think they all genuinely believe that will happen. And the board, for me, there's so much has to happen at this club for people to be happy. And when he does go, it kind of makes you wonder what people are going to have to moan about.
I would say if people want to get my side of how I think it's done properly, James on Twitter, who is J.E. Cook 96, used to be Cookie, and he has done a YouTube video called Arsenal FC, the Stagnating Giant, and Mark King's on there talking, and Akil's on there, and a few other people, and it's it's really well done, brilliantly videoed. The audio and stuff is really good, and it's just a passionate thing about why they're not happy about it. So go and have a look at that, and then just let these people know what you think about it. But I think they're just so passionate about what they feel about the club. They're not in it to get followers or get their faces on TV or be invited onto Soccer AM. They're not doing it to do any of that lot, and they're not doing it to make money either.
And he's a young guy, isn't he, Danny? The guy who's done.
James.
I think he's only what?
Yeah,
in
he
his
says
early
96.
20s.
Yeah, so he's probably 2021.
Yeah.
Really good video.
It is, yeah. Perhaps we'll find a link for it and tweet it or something. It is very good. I don't agree with all of it. I do agree with some of it, and yeah, it's very, very well produced, very well put together.
And Kris, turning back to your own managerial crisis, what do you make? And I'll pick a tweet just off the top now, and it was tweeted to the podcast this afternoon. It said, "Will deluded fans like @Plymouth_George ever wake up to see that Carpenter is a fraud?" Would you like to answer that question?
Well, I mean, when your rum has gone dry, what do you do with it? You take it out of the fridge. So, and that quote makes as little sense as my management, I suppose. I'm aware of the growing unrest amongst the Janners, and all I can say is I've got the board's backing, and
who are the board though?
Mr. A Pirate, the chairman, obviously, sees me as
any relation to you?
No, not at all. No, and Seaman Staines, the head of PR, is a genuine supporter of the club and has been for many years. So
Raj is head of catering. What does he think? Or has no one can get any sense out? He's got a face full of profiteroles.
Profiteroles, basically, yeah, more profiteroles. That's the future. I'm aware results have not been great, since Christmas. But may I remind you that we were top at Christmas, and we are currently in fourth. So there's the parallels between us and Arsenal are there for everyone to be seen. And I do feel that with the fresh injection of cash, we can go again next season. So, I will be fighting these rumours.
It sounds like a cop out to me.
Pirate Fan TV tweeted 8 minutes ago, "I wonder if @AFC Freddy 8 has answered the fans on the AFC podcast yet. #Crexit. It's time to go." Kris, it seems like you have a lot of angry fans on your hands, and it seems like you only have a handful of happy ones. Is there any way that you look at Arsene Wenger and you think, "Oh, he's managed to stay at the club 20 years plus. I'd like to do this at the Barbican Pirates. Is there anything I can take from his style of management? Do you think that it's important having a long trophy drought to be a successful manager?"
I like that last line.
I can't even believe I answered that.
That's very, very good. No, I mean, I'm confident that a trophy drought is the way to take this club onto the next level. I should say in the first season we did win both the Respect campaign and indeed the Fair Play award.
That's not a real. That's like fourth place is not a trophy.
Well, I mean, it's still silverware.
If you've won a trophy for being a fanny, that's not a proper trophy. Well, I'm not going to slide tackle him. I'll just push him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is I play, the same formation as Arsene, and I believe in the philosophy. I don't really believe that raising a voice is something you need to be doing on a regular basis.
We have got more questions for you.
Oh, okay, go on.
We've got one from Dan_AFC 94. Carpenter to replace Arsene ? What's your response to that? The listeners need to know.
No, I don't think that would work. I think, the fan mail I read earlier on is clear what people have a view of me. So I don't think taking over a club of Arsenal's stature would be good. Arsene at the Pirates, though, I mean, that would, I could find room for him in my backroom staff.
Can you afford the 8.5 million he wants for doing nothing for a season?
Nothing's a bit far. I mean, I don't know. Maybe perhaps Stan could build a ranch for us, and we could train on a ranch, and then Arsene could come down.
Pirate Governor wants to know, would like to know what the panel think of last weekend and how to handle the rum market next summer to attract top pirates.
Well, I mean, that's the age-old question, isn't it? Pasties and cider. Now they want rum. I mean, where does it end, Danny? You can't keep throwing demands around. I mean, all these people are asking me the questions. We've got a journalist amongst us, he's a professional. I mean, Mr. Collings, how you've covered such high-profile sackings as Claudio Ranieri recently, so you know all about managers under pressure. I mean, does it come across that the Pirates are a rudderless ship, or do you think they can turn this around under the same management?
I mean, it's a question of how much power do fans have. I think that's the real issue here, and I mean, the abuse is so vitriolic. I've not seen much like it. I mean, that Twitter account's got double figures people following it. And that's must be intimidating for a man like you.
But surely I have to question your journalistic integrity when you can't even attend games these days. I mean, I think you sit in your ivory tower and you write these stories and you haven't even seen a game in the flesh. How can you tell how much work I'm putting into these
I mean, no expenses would cover a trip to Plymouth. I mean, that's fucking miles away.
Are you aware of the GoFund, the Just Giving page has been set up?
How many's on? 12p?
It is they've just said, help fund the fans of Barbican Pirates, buy the club and get rid of the manager Kris Carpenter, #Carpenter out, thanks. And they've got a link to a GoFund to a Just Giving page, and at the moment raised £0 of £1,000 target.
I've got a few more tweets for you, Kris, from I think this must be one of
the natives aren't happy, are they, Gimli?
No, we've got Piers Moron, who is at Pyrus Piers. He says, go on, Carpenter fanboys. Keep coming here with your trolling and the delusional bullshit excuses. #no new contract. #Carpenter out. #Piers knows.
well, I mean, how do you address a man of that high esteem? I mean, I don't know what to say to that. Maybe he could set up his show, and we could sit down and talk about it rationally. The merchandise sales have been drying up recently. How do you expect me to bring in new talent when people are not injecting cash?
Excuse. You've had the money. Where's it gone?
Well, I've got a striker. I got a guy up front. You know him, Danny. Callum. Yeah.
Shit sponsorship as well. Don't forget the shit sponsorship because you got involved with some fucking Tin Pot podcast, and now I can see here. I mean, Pirate Fan TV have said everyone use Uber code #Carpenter out for 10% off your next journey. Kris, these are what the fans are saying. They're saying that they put so much money into the club. They followed you over Plimpton and Plymouth. They've seen you to the ends of the earth, and they've seen the same bullshit excuses. They've seen the same poor performances. They've seen the same overweight plodders week in, week out. When will it change?
I've retired, so I won't be playing anymore.
Did you finish in the top 4?
You were half of the problem.
Look,
where did you finish last year?
I don't know.
Top 4.
Top 4.
I think
we finished 6th last year, so I mean, it wasn't.
Oh, fuck yeah, no.
But you've got to look at what the league we're dealing in.
6 teams in the league.
There's teams in this league that are bankrolled. There's teams in this league that have got oil money. There's some teams that are run by Ginster's factories. I mean, I can't compete.
I've also heard that at Jeff Pirate, who is the Pirates Floozy's first mate, Ship's Cat, and the Sweet Soulful Sea Shanties, he's actually just put a new sea shanty on SoundCloud, and you're demanding 50% of all the money that makes. What do you say to that? Is that true? Are you getting 50%?
Well, I mean, I am, but I'm putting that money back into the club.
Sickening. Going in your pocket. That's where it's going.
When you've got a centre forward in Callum Knight he's scored 21 goals in 21 appearances and made 12 assists, you've got to pay him the money he's worth. And people don't want us to lose a talent like that to the Birmingham. I mean, people like the league Collings plays in. That's big money. That's the bright lights of Hackney Marshes. I can't afford to lose players to them.
One of the biggest pirate accounts is at Mr. STD Pirate. He's put more on failure, fraud. #Carpenter out. #will not be missed.
And I have another one here. I can actually read you a snippet of a conversation between three people equally as well, not equally. There is one that actually likes you. At Pirate Fan TV, he tweeted, fans like at Jeff Pirate accept failure. We need change. That's why I use Ubers. Never trust someone who accepts failure. Hashtag Crexit. In response to that, at Jeff Pirate has replied, failure, you don't know how lucky you are to have KC. Be careful what you wish for. Hashtag CKB. And finally, to just end that snippet of conversation, he replied, there's a at Cap Claude, who is Captain Claude. Carpenter understands no tactics. Hashtag cunt. Kris, respond.
Well, the level of grammar used in that sentence, I think, sums up Captain Claude well. I'm fully expecting a late night, what's that thing called, Periscope discussion. Detailing his inner thoughts about the situation. And, I'll just say what I've said all along. The board have backed me. We released a statement via WhatsApp the other day to confirm Mr. A Pirate has said he's put his faith in me. I don't see that changing. And frankly, until there is a better man for the job, and until there is a man who's out there who can perform better at this level, I don't think I have a case to answer. And if people want me out, then what can I say? They have the right to their opinion, but I believe that fourth place is a trophy. And until we're not in the top four, I won't be answering any more questions.
Can you just answer one question? And it's the last question. We will leave it there. Just one more for me.
All right.
United have fucking scored.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See, they wouldn't get fourth place. They're sixth. You don't want their manager out, do you?
Well, I still think the manager's a cunt.
Well, fair. Go on. One more question. That's all you get.
I just wanted to know, how did it feel when you saw your face photoshopped on Osama bin Laden?
Well, again, I feel that my record as Bergkamp Pirates manager, co-founder, secretary, chairman, I've put this club together with my own bare hands. I've
sing
kept
the theme tune, write the theme tune.
Exactly. 4 years I've done this now, Mr. Gimli. 4 years. I've had no help, no financial backing, I've had nothing.
We gave you money. We gave you 50 quid 3 years ago. And what have we got for that?
Well,
just our name plastered on some old tat?
I think you'll find.
Is that what we get? Is that what you think of us?
I think you'll find Jeffrey Holifrand and Dominic Nusky got jerseys actually. So I think that's
your favourites.
A false accusation. No,
I've run out of tea towels.
I will remain at this wonderful club, and yes, I firmly believe I can take them on another level. 4 years strong, we're coming to the end of year 4. We got a big season ahead of us, but might I add, we're still in the Supplementary Cup. Plymouth United this Sunday. Is it Plymouth United? No, it's not Plymouth United. Somebody this Sunday. I don't even know our own fixtures. That's how much this has affected me. Pressure I'm under to deliver. But no, we've got a big fixture this weekend in the Supplementary Cup. If we win that, so that's 2 wins out of 2. So you've got to give me time. We're at home to Central Park Rangers this Sunday.
You lose, you quit. Just quickly, if you lose, surely.
No, not at all. I don't think some of the peasants understand me.
Oh, the delusion sounds somewhat familiar. Speaking of which, we are an Arsenal podcast, so we will move on. Danny?
Very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very sorry.
I've actually had an offer from Bergkamp Pirates podcast to see if I want to go there and press buttons. Told them to get fucked.
Good.
Apparently it's a feeder podcast, Danny.
That's it. That's what I said to them. It's not happening.
No.
Get league.
What were you going to ask me? Yes.
I was just going to see if you wanted to give us some listener questions.
I have lots.
And we do apologise if you didn't enjoy any of the last 15 minutes. It wasn't at all scripted, genuinely. But we feel it's an important talking point, and we will get a result here at the AFC podcast. Carpenter out. Danny?
Yeah, and you would the number of questions we've had that have been ended in Carpenter out is quite scary. From how would you say Pitito? Pitito.
Petito.
Potato.
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 He's more of a statement. He's put, while watching Arsenal Rants TV, very good, one of the guys actually made a great point. I find this hard to believe, I think. He claimed that the actions and status of current affairs of our club and fans is doing damage to the future generation of fans, that the constant bottling in February, drought of an EPL trophy, constant last 16 of the Champions League exits and infighting between fans will make younger generations support teams like Chelsea, Man United or even Spurs. Your opinion on this, please, Simon, as you're the wise one here.
I can understand where the point's coming from, but for me, I wasn't given a choice of who I supported. My dad supported Arsenal, my granddad supported Arsenal, so
they're bloody fault then.
Yeah, it's their fault, but that's the way it was for me. And with future fans, I imagine it's the same, because it's you go with your dad to the game, or you go with your brother, uncle, and it's very much a family sort of thing. And this idea, this concept of spoiling it because fans will be like, oh no, we only come fourth and stuff like that. People older than me will tell you that Arsenal went years without winning league titles and trophies, and people don't support the club because they want to be they're glory hunters. People support the club because they love the club. So I don't think that is going to have an effect. And in terms of the future and the fan base, I think it won't have an effect.
Well, my nephew, George, when he's now, I think he's 9, maybe 10, he supported Arsenal because they lived in my village and now they've moved out to Huntingdon. And he supported Arsenal. And then I spoke to him the other day and he was saying, I want to play as Man City on FIFA. I said, why? He said, well, I support Man City. I said, no, you don't. You support Arsenal. He said, no, I support Man City now. And my mate Ren, who is 40 this summer, he's thinking of picking a team, and he wanted to know who to support. And I said anybody but Arsenal. So as he's born in Germany, his nearest team to where he's born is Borussia Mönchengladbach. So I told him John, the shitbeard Welsh, and his crabs would love that. Kris, any thoughts you can get in under an hour?
Yeah, I did. The point, if it was made on that channel, it is a fair point. It's worth addressing. I don't know. I think that I don't think it's just young fans. I think even some of the older generation, I think, people are easily led, aren't they? And you won't change some people's opinions. And I think if you're truly passionate about the team you support, you'll stick by them through thick and thin. Jason, Jeff, Dave, to be fair, all of us as well. We could all vouch for when times were tough. Me particular, I've mentioned this on the pod before, but the latter days of George Graham, the short spell under Bruce Rioch. I mean, you think the football's bad now. That was bloody painful to watch at times. And, we were celebrating scraping into Europe. Danny, you'll remember this well. It's Dennis Bergkamp goal at Highbury against Bolton. Qualifying us for the then UEFA
Cup. Yeah, we went mental.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
And that was where
fourth or fifth or third, something like that, we had to finish.
I think it was sixth, if I remember rightly. I know we had
to low down.
Top six. So, but I mean, we were good goal that day, by the way, from Dennis.
And that was playing in a team with Bergkamp and Wright and Adams and Seaman. We struggled to do that. That's how bad it was.
I'm not saying you can always judge, a club on your past, and a club of our size. Yeah, of course we should be competing every season. That's an absolute must. But no, I think young fans nowadays they'll make a decision and they'll support the club they love. The rant culture, as far as to address that point, I think that's just every club now. I think you look at any fan TV or you look at any social media for young, particularly younger fans making their way in supporting a team. I think it's just people like to be angry, like we said earlier on in the podcast, don't they? We get higher numbers when people are upset. So I wouldn't read into that too much, but it is a fair point. It is well made. So we'll give them credit.
Got any thoughts, Gim?
No, I think it's been covered well enough by Simon and Kris, to be honest. I don't think I disagree with anything they've had to say.
Okay, next question to you then. From Alfredo, he says, which one player, not named Ozil or Sanchez, is the most important to keep of those with 12 months to go in a contract? I suppose then we'd have to know. So other than those two, which one do you think is the most important that we keep?
I would probably say Koscielny.
Oh, yes.
Curveball. I just think that you see every team that we've had over the years, and at the head of that team has been an exceptional defender. I know Koscielny's made some mistakes, but I think he is one of the world's best. Hence why Bayern Munich were sniffing around him in the summer. So, yeah, probably for me, Koscielny.
That's because he smells of garlic and they were hungry. Simon, you had to pick one.
In terms of the players with the same 1 year on their contract, I'd go the Ox. But in general, I would go Bellerin.
Yeah, there's been
we were talking about 12 months now, or I thought we were talking if any of the players in the squad just had 12 months left.
I changed it to that because I don't know all the dates of when their contracts are up.
No, I don't either, to be honest.
Yeah. So there's been lots of paper talk about Bellerin going. And what did Wenger say today about that, Simon?
I think nonsense, I think. So.
Did he come out with he said it's fake news?
Oh, that was about his good mate, Boro.
Oh, yes.
Going to Turkey, which is quite odd because it came from like Turkish newspaper saying he was going to manage some club there. And then it was a load of rubbish. So I don't know where on earth it came from, but it would be very odd if he left and quite a clear sign that Wenger was going, I think, seeing as they've worked together everywhere they've gone. So,
Kris, who would you pick?
I'm with Gim, to be honest. Koscielny, I think, is vital because you only have to see how poor Mustafi looks sometimes. Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, sure, he makes mistakes, but what defender doesn't? You only have to see how poor we are defensively when Cos isn't in the side, whether it be when Per was there, whether Gabriel's there, whether Monreal was at the back or Mustafi. They all look far lesser players without Koscielny. I know Jace, for one, has said on this pod that he doesn't really think he's a leader. I disagree with that. I don't think he's a ranter and raver. I do think he leads by example. I do think he's a player that does organise and does, in his own sort of unique way, drive the team on. And as for the rumours, like the Bellerin stuff and all that, here's probably where Jace and I will agree. If I love every single player at Arsenal, even Gabriel.
No-go?
Yeah, even Yaya. He's good for comedy value.
You love a bit of Yaya. You hate all the Yayas.
No, I don't hate them. I just dislike all the overrated ones. But no, if Hector Bellerin is happy at Arsenal, great, because he's one of the best fullbacks, or certainly one of the better fullbacks in the world right now, and has the potential to be a very, very good, world-class fullback, even if he isn't already. If you don't want to play for Arsenal, and that goes for any of them, then buy. It's that simple. If you really feel like your future is away from the Arsenal, then away you go. You go with my blessing, which I'm sure they care about a lot, and you crack on. That no player is irreplaceable. As long as the club is there, we'll always support the players who wear the shirt when they go out on the pitch. So if that's how he feels, then cheerio.
Same as Sanchez, bang on.
Exactly, absolutely.
Sanchez don't want to be Roy Keane. As much as I normally disagree with Roy Keane and everything he says. He had it bang on the other week when he was doing the Champions League highlights and said if Sanchez doesn't want to be there, you get him out the door.
I saw that.
Same with Ozil as well. If they don't want to be there, then fuck off, because there's loads of players who want to play.
Look at what Alex Ferguson did with Van Nistelrooy and Jaap.
Look what he did with Roy Keane.
Van Nistelrooy,
Beckham, yeah. It not only does it.
You need to assert your power as a manager. It shows an element of who's in charge, who's, as Keane put it, who's driving the bus. Because at the moment, it looks like fucking Sanchez is doing it with Atom and Humber. So,
all steering the ship, eh, Kris?
I've just had a WhatsApp request for end music. Jason says it should be "Guess I Better Leave Right Now" by Will Young.
We've already got end music.
The Pirates already picked the end of music. Right, next question.
We have two. We had two last.
We have had two a few times. Right, Gimli from Nicky Wilson. He says, "What are Arsene Wenger's positive and negative points as a football manager?" Good luck with that.
His positive points. I think his positive points. He's always been classy. You look at things like what he did at the FA Cup, where didn't he took the brother managers in and sit down and have a chat with them for about an hour after the game. So in terms of that, I think he's been respectful. One of his biggest faults, I think, is that he puts too much faith in players. For instance, you can say Diaby, to an extent, Ramsey, Walcott. I mean, how long would these players get at other clubs? Yet they seem to be able to get on a team sheet at ours. So those are probably not, I wouldn't say biggest, but those are negatives and positive.
Simon?
I mean, positives. I think he's, as Gim's saying, he's an absolute superb statesman for a club in terms of your image, the way he deals with the media. I mean, if you go to that AGM, it's always one of the funnest things, I think, because you see people standing outside going, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking lay into him about this, that," and then they all get there. Chips Keswick winds him up even more. Gazidis calms him a bit, and then Wenger comes on and just has everyone eating out the palm of his hand completely. And he is like that when you meet him. He's so charming and charismatic, and you sort of meet him. You think, oh yeah, everything is all right, everything is fine. Then you go watch the game, and like, fuck, maybe it's not all right. But I think that is one of his greatest strengths. His consistency is undoubtedly one of them. I mean, as much as he gets hammered for it, the level of consistency he's had, finishing in the top 4. Getting out of the group in the Champions League stage. Other managers who've had other success haven't been able to do that. And his weaknesses, again, the loyalty to the players, while it is a strength because his players do normally reciprocate it, he will give players perhaps longer than they deserve to prove themselves and go past their sell-by date. And the other thing...
Theo's had 12 years.
Yeah. And the other thing, I think it used to be a great positive for him, but I don't think it's as good now. Is his spotting for a player or his eye for a player. I don't think it's quite as good as it was in terms of, I think, some of his pickings in the transfer market, which is obviously him because there's no director of football, or which is something that's being talked about, obviously. He's obviously deciding who comes in. I can't think, I mean, Sanchez and Ozil, good, but other than that, I can't think of a signing where I've gone, oh yeah, in the last sort of 2-3 years where he's got it bang on. Certainly last summer, I think Xhaka and Mustafi, the jury's still very out. So that, I think, is a weakness now, whereas 10 years ago, that was probably, maybe 15 years ago, was one of his major positives.
Right, Chris, have you had your answer on this? I can't remember.
I haven't, but I will if you want.
Go on, then. If you can do it in under an hour, that'd be lovely.
Thank you. That's a running theme. Consistency, definitely a positive. Loyalty is a huge positive, which is very quickly forgotten. His ability to deflect attention is a huge positive, as Simon's just said there. It kind of backs up the statesman thing. He's a very, very good talker. I think the other quality that I don't think necessarily always gets highlighted is his ability with players. How can I put this? Players to you say about the lack of or the over loyalty towards some players, where he does take some players. I do think he does also give some of the players real belief in themselves. Now, whether it always works, that's a shout for a rainy day. But he always backs those players. So yes, although it is also a flaw, that ability to always make players feel $1 million, even if they're worth 10 quid, is a quality. And his business sense, I know people don't like it, but you can't fault the guy for his business acumen and his ability to be able to change things, at a club and bring a club on. As far as negatives, there are many: stubbornness, arrogance at times, an unwillingness to adjust, and as we said before, the loyalty has to fall into that, and maybe. Just maybe he's guilty of not letting anyone help, and that falls into arrogance. But he does have this habit of thinking he can do it all himself, and the older he gets, the harder that is going to become. So it's a good question. You could have had hours on that. Jeff would have been a good one on that one.
If you think as well, I can't think of a player who left Arsenal and ever dug him out or had a go at him.
Yeah, and how many players have left his managership and gone on to better things as well?
Yeah, there are a few that disown him though.
Yeah, there are a few. Yeah, but
I can't think of many that.
You have to wonder.
Even those people like Ashley Cole and Van Persie jump ship, they don't dig him out.
Yeah, and how many of those, like you look at someone like Merson, for example, what did he do with his career when he left? Mercer's a great footballer for Arsenal, but he's a pillock as a pundit. And you wonder, like a manager like Arsene Wenger and Paul Merson. There's only so much you can do to somebody with, that kind of level of intellect. So I loved Mercer as a player, but he doesn't have to talk some bollocks. So, some of those players, like you said, Danny, have they got agendas? Maybe some of them. Maybe dig him out a little bit unfairly because of how he let them go. You've read Ian Wright's book, haven't you, when he said about him letting him go? He was very ruthless there, wasn't he?
I think he's almost Wenger was George Graham was very ruthless as well. He said, I think Anders Limpar said, Rocastle was crying when he said he's got to go. Limpar got the hump and said he told us on the podcast. Said he got really angry when he said, I don't want to go. He said, no, you're going. He was very ruthless.
When he let Wrighty go, David Dean was in tears, and he said, he said David Dean was in the room and was in tears, and Ian Wright was like, he knew his time had come, and Wenger's like, I'm really sorry, but this is the end of the road, and walked out the room. That was that done.
I still want to know. First, if I could ask Wenger any question, it would be in the 1998 FA Cup final. Ian Wright had broken his leg and come back. He'd won the first half of the season for us. He'd come back second half of the season, and you only brought on one sub, and you could have brought on another sub, and you brought on David Platt. I think he left Baldy on the bench, and he left Wright on the bench. So why didn't you bring one of those two on, especially Ian Wright? He should have brought Ian Wright on to play in that final. That's the first time I thought, hold on, Wenger's a bit of an arsehole here.
Same with the Champions League final. I wonder if he had his time again, would he have brought? Was it Reyes he brought off? He left
Perez off.
Perez. Sorry, Perez. Yeah, brought Reyes on. Yeah, I wonder if he'd have done that again if he had his time again.
Well, some of these things. Anyway, right. Next question is from James. Definitely not in New York, and definitely not in Boston either. He says, if you manage the club, what one absolute rule would you decree? And he's put, excluding Kris, makes everyone have flowing hair and an eye patch. So, Gimli, what one rule would you have?
What was the question again? Sorry.
Oh, will you fucking listen, you tit?
All right, go on.
Busy coughing into the microphone and making me blame Simon. If you were in charge of the club and you had to make one decree, what would it be? What one thing would you make sure that everyone had to do? Probably listen.
I would make sure that everyone brought a Mo Hader is a cunt banner to every single home game. I would make it mandatory. I would also have it printed on the back of the ticket. So even if you didn't manage to bring a banner, as long as you had your ticket, you could hold it up and declare your hatred for Mr. Netsband.
God, I don't know why you hate him so much.
Just think he's a cunt.
How do you really feel, Kim?
No. This is like that was a brain fart. It just doesn't.
All right, Simon, what would you have done?
I'd have it's sort of a joint rule, so sort of 2-1. I'd cap tickets at 15 quid for every game, and outside the ground, I would have organised by our very own Reverend Raj a selection of delicacies that he's eaten during the week. So it might be meat feast pizza, might be Ferrero Rochers, and they would be handed out to fans as they slowly meandered into the ground. Oh, lovely. That would be my match day experience.
Kris, what would you have? And you can't have eye patches or make everyone grow their hair.
Well,
I think Bellingham's been listening to you because he's growing his hair like a nonce.
It looks silly though, doesn't it? I've got to say. No, I'm kind of with Simon on the ticket prices. I'd also have a capped cost of shirts and printing. The money we have to pay out. Well, we don't have to, but the money
if you buy a season ticket, you get a free shirt.
That would work. Yeah, that'd work. Something along those lines. I'd also ban iPads from the ground. That would be something. And selfie stick. Anyone caught, I tell you what I'd do. Anyone caught taking selfies. Now, this doesn't include taking pictures because we all like to have a little snap at the game here and there. But anyone caught taking a selfie with a selfie stick of just themselves, I would have paraded down at halftime onto the pitch. And then I'd have Jorg Albergs, formerly mentioned on this podcast earlier on, fire penalties directly at their testicles or lady parts for 20 minutes until the players are out for the second half, just consistently from 5 yards away. And then they would learn. I'm
going to go Dragon's Den here because I want to answer this one. I'm going to undercut you. All tickets, no matter where you sit, are a tenner. I'd get rid of all the executive boxes. You lot can get fucked. I'd make that more seats. I'd take the FA to court as the Justice Taylor report has proved that it was the police's fault up at Hillsborough. It wasn't the fans' fault, and so that whole thing of banning standing, I'd sue them, and I'd have 2 ends full standing, make it 80,000, £10 a ticket, and shirts would be a tenner. You get a free one with your season ticket, and all food concessions would all be sold at 10% above cost. I like the number 10s here. And all the players will have elocution lessons, and anybody who says basically at the end of the day, or every other word will be shot. And if you're caught doing the vlog, during the game, you'll be taken onto the pitch at half-time and a taser will be shot into your testicles. That's not actually the person who does it probably doesn't have testicles.
I think some of your views are very, very positive. I don't think the club will make a lot of money under you, Danny. I'm just going to put that out there. But
how much did we get? 125 million was it from the Premier League?
Something like that, but that's not enough.
We make £1 million per game from the season from people going to the game. So what do we make per home game from the Premier League gates alone per season? We make what, 20 million quid? Or what's 20 million quid in modern football? Let everyone in for free.
Yeah, but you've got to take away all the wages we're paying every week to all these superstar players everyone wants to sign as well.
Good. No, I'm making it a tenner to get in, and no wanky executive boxes of people stood at the back going, I've got an executive box here. Look, do you like football? No, I'm a rugger man. Get fucked. Get out of my fucking club, you nonces. Right.
I think we've all been a bit honest tonight.
I think we have.
Dude,
it's been good though. I've enjoyed it.
You look how many of those boxes are empty when we're playing Stoke or we're playing Bournemouth, because people go there to show off that, I've got a box I can get. No, fuck off. We're going to quiz you. You're going to sit there. You're going to face the fucking front. You're not going to move, and you're not having any bloody alcoholic drinks. You're going to watch the game, and then we're going to give you a quiz at the end of the game. Otherwise, there's a £1,000 fine. £10,000 fine. Our next question from Vintage Hector. How far down the table do we have to fall for the owners to sack Wenger? Gimli.
How far do we have to go for the owners to sack Wenger?
How far down the table do we have to fall? Because we're currently fifth.
Ooh. I think myself any lower than fourth, if not already. I mean, for me,
it's to sack Wenger. I don't think he'll ever sack him.
I don't know. No, I don't think they'll ever sack him. And I think that he does have the right to decide when he goes, but I'm not against change. That's pretty much my view on it. I'm not against change. I do think sometimes change freshens things up, and I think maybe that's what we need at Arsenal. But
that's what you apply to your underpants, isn't it?
Oh,
change
exactly.
Is good.
Yeah, inside out, back to front.
On your head.
Get 4 days out of them that way.
Good God. Simon, what's your point of view on this?
I think he'd be given sort of one season at coming 7th or 8th. And then I think if that happened again, I think you'd have to go. I think they'd make him go.
Oh, Kris.
Never. No, I don't know. I don't think this board, as long as Stan Kroenke is making money, I don't think Arsenal will ever be sacked.
Did I hear that because Leicester have got through to the next stage of the Premier League, and this either you or Simon will know, did I hear that they get an extra 100 million, or is that now they'll get 100 million? Do they get 100 million more than us for getting through to the next stage? They don't, do they?
No.
I don't know.
No, they don't get that much more. No.
Oh, so it's probably they've.
But if they win the Champions League, and Manchester United win the Europa League, and they both finish outside the top 4, I think 4th place doesn't get in the Champions League.
Ooh, that's what we want.
That's one for John Welsh to check, but I believe that is the state of play.
And I was quite disgusted with many of the ABW in the Pirate Fan TV group, as we've renamed it, that were not wanting Leicester to do well. Shame on you. We want Leicester to do brilliantly.
Do
They're
we?
never going to do it. I
need it for the coefficient.
Well, fuck the coefficient. I just want to see them do well. It's just brilliant. They're the only English team left in it, and they've spent the least
of Leicester fans.
No,
Leicester fans want Monaco now, which I think is a bit.
A bit stuck up, a bit arrogant. No, Danny, I have a No. I have a real issue with this. Sorry, I have to rant on this. Yeah,
get comfy.
Look, I don't. Some people might not agree with this. I support Arsenal Football Club. I don't support fucking Leicester, Man United, Chelsea, fucking Stoke, West Brom. I support Arsenal. I don't give a fuck who goes far in the Champions League or the Europa League who's English.
That's
I could not give a fucking toss. I just couldn't. Yes, of course I follow French teams.
Leicester do well.
Yeah, but why?
Because
why would you want another English team
it's
to do well?
It's the dream, and they're never going to get there again.
And it makes us look that little bit more shit, doesn't it?
Could you not argue that, don't we get on how far teams get in the league points per Premier League season?
The coefficient side of things, yeah.
Yeah, but you want them to do well, so maybe if there is a 4th place, it does go to us.
No, that's not why I want them to do well. Partly because it shows that money can't buy you everything, and partly it shows some of those players were playing non-league, and it shows you the football dream, the Roy of the Rovers dream is doable, it's good for football.
Hang on, the Roy of the Rovers football dream. These same fucking players that are getting all this credit for turning up against Sevilla the night could not give two shits under Ranieri 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, but I'm on about the club mainly, not a club and the fans, not really the players.
The club that's bankrolled by multi-millionaires who basically just, splurged all this money to get a manager in who, yes, albeit they had a magnificent achievement last season, but even Simon was there week in, week out. They built that on, they got on a run, didn't they? They went on momentum, and let's be honest. And I sorry to kill the dream, boys and girls, but it's true. Last year was a shit Premier League. Look at the state of the challengers, including us, I might add. I'm not saying that Leicester didn't deserve it. They did, of course they did. They were magnificent for long periods of the season, but it was a shit Premier League. And any other Premier League, if the Leicester of last season were the Leicester this season, do you think they'd be top of the league above Chelsea? Not a chance.
Simon, kill him with kindness and words.
Oh, but I know it's Kris having a moan and everything, but it's an anomaly, and it's great. And I'm with you, Dan. I'm in the same boat. Maybe it's because I've had to be going up there every other week pretty much for 18 months, 2 years. But, for people from this city, they know they're never going to they know they might not ever see them play in the Champions League in their lifetime. And for them, it's just absolutely loving it. And that's why I think when you're there, you get sucked into it because, the atmosphere the other night I was there was absolutely amazing. And because they know that this is a freak and it's not going to happen again, and they're not a big club and all this sort of stuff. But for that last season, they were living an absolute dream. With the Champions League this year, they're living a dream. And that's why I think I don't want them to get Monaco. I want them to go and have that big game against Barcelona, Real Madrid, whatever, Bayern Munich, and have that one big European tie that they can remember, for 15, 20 years and say to their kids, whatever, oh, yeah, we had Barcelona here at the King Power, whatever. So I think it's a great story.
I'm not against getting a big draw, I'll say that much, but am I going to support them? No. I support Arsenal and that's it. So
I'm just cheering them on, going, "Go on, well done."
That is supporting them, you tit.
No, I just want them to do well. You tit.
I really don't want them to get Monaco. A lot of their fans keep saying, "Oh, we'll do Monaco." I think that'd be horrible for them. I think they'd be better against Barcelona or Real Madrid. I genuinely think they would.
Yeah, they'll raise their game more, won't they? They'll underestimate Monaco, and I think they'll get embarrassed.
I just got images of Morgan and Huth up against Mbappe and Bernardo Silva and this very fast Monaco team, and just.
Danny, speaking of which, can you think of a manager who underestimated Monaco and got embarrassed by them? And I'm not talking about Arsene Wenger. Can you think of any other coaches that might have?
Pochettino.
Maybe him. There's this guy.
Is he Spanish?
Yeah. Is he the best coach in the world? I think. Something.
Yeah. Cult of Pep.
Managed to the best league in the world as well. Yeah, that's the one.
It's funny to see Nasri get sent off anyway. So.
Yes, yeah. Although
that was pretty.
Well, I think he looks I got hammered for this, but I think he looks great in that deep line role, and I'd have him at Arsenal playing that role. I know
he's like a horse-faced lesbian.
He's always been a brilliant footballer, but he's an utter.
He's quite big now. He's not fat, but he's bigger than.
It's those drip doctors.
Guardiola to go at him big fat, but he does look bigger than he used to be.
He's more stocky, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a fucking good player.
No, he's a cunt.
Fabregas,
this next question is, there's loads of crabs all over it. Hold on, who's this? Oh, this is from John Welsh. It says, if Arsene stays, are you actually looking forward to watching the team next season? Isn't it all too predictable, Gimli? We listened. Well done.
I'd be lying if I said that this probably hasn't been one of the most enjoyable seasons I've had so far. To be honest with you, I can't remember a season where I've been so disillusioned with it all.
Last season before that, the one before that, the one before that.
But this season we started off really well. There was promise, and it is. I think this season has just smashed it home more that it's predictable. There's no plan B. There's no leaders. There's players that shouldn't even be being picked or in the team. Kris, I'm sorry, but Coquelin. He was great when there was nobody else. But at the moment, it's fucking awful. It's just boring is the only word I can use to describe it. Boring. And no, if nothing changes and he's still in charge next season, as much as I respect the bloke, I think it'll be more boring football, where we'll probably finish in the top 5. We probably won't get Champions League football. I say it every year, but we probably will. You know, like I said, boring, predictable football.
It's a little, being an Arsenal fan is much like not making love to a beautiful woman, is much like house training a puppy. You finally think you've house trained him, you get up in the morning, you go in there and you see he shit his bed again.
It's like
back to square one.
I used the analogy on a transfer deadline day podcast once. I don't know if you can remember it, but Arsenal in the transfer window are like thumbing in a rope.
Simon, follow that.
I don't think I can follow that, to be honest. But I think it all. To be fair, we do say on this podcast that you can go to March, whatever, 2013, 14, 2012, and you can listen and we'll be saying the same fucking thing we're saying now. But it'll be the same at the start of the season. Because every fan, doesn't matter who you support, whether you support Hull, Huddersfield, or fucking Barbican Pirates, before the first weekend of the season, everyone is optimistic because you haven't played a game, you haven't kicked a ball, and even if you play shit in pre-season, go, oh, we've got all the shit games out. If you play well in pre-season, oh, we're in good form. And I'll probably be the same come the start of August again. But what would really get me optimistic in terms of not having that usual buzz would be a proper transfer window. There's no tournament this summer. Get it done early. Get 3 or 4 signings in for a new spine of team. Get it done by the 1st of July. Go on the tour. You've got the squad there, bedded in. And then you can actually start the season and not be fucking about spending 70 million quid on the final week of the window. That's what would get me optimistic. Do I think that'll happen? No.
I can follow this up with Simon. Simon, you're all optimistic that this is going to happen.
You just called him a whore then.
No, I
didn't. Simon, you're a whore.
You're optimistic. This is what you think is going to happen. I remember a Christmas when all I wanted was Grand Theft Auto for the PS2. And I wanted that more than my next breath. Just like Arsenal in the transfer window, I went downstairs Christmas morning, expected to open up GTA, and I got a fucking blue CD, One Love.
I can top that. When I was about 14, all years I said to my parents, I want a Commodore 64, and I had a feeling they got me one. So after my dad went up in the loft, got my present down because he hid it because he's a tit, unwrapped it, I saw Commodore. I thought, yes, they got me a Commodore 64. Apparently the arsehole in Woolworths convinced them that the Commodore 16 was better.
I think I need to ask the question that everyone's clearly asking here. I need to ask Gimli. Was it One Love for the Mother's Pride?
It was indeed. Oh, Good. It was indeed. With the top down.
Indeed. And
was that Mummy Gimli who was responsible for that? Terrible.
If blue's not the end music, then there's no justice in the world.
Oh, very good. And I'm sure, was that the period of time when was Dane Bowers part of? Oh no, he wasn't part of Blue, was he? No. But I'm sure he was shagging Jordan at the time.
He's done a bit of Blue.
Hey, very good.
Blue.
Very good. Danny, do you want a bit of breaking news?
Go on then. What's that? You're resigning?
No, thumbs are out.
John Torrall, he signed a new contract in January before he went on loan.
Did he?
He did. Oh. So, in other words, we'll get a bigger fee if we do flog him. So that's good business, at least.
We're not going to flog him, are we?
Wenger in.
Oh no. Ask the question about is it getting a bit predictable? I don't think John just means the football. I think everything that surrounds it, all the bullshit that comes with it.
Yeah, there's an argument for that. I'm not particularly one of these people that buys into the argument that we don't play good football. I know Dom's in particular has highlighted this a number of times. He says we don't have an identity to our football anymore. We don't have a certain style. I disagree with that, to be honest, because I would argue that you could level that at a lot of clubs. Chelsea play with the same formation every week. Man United play with the same formation every week. Yeah, Southampton, West Ham. I think every team has their own set formation, their own set style, their own kind of way that certain players they pick. I would slightly disagree with that. I think when we're good, we're very, very good. The trouble is when we're not quite as good, we're horrid. There's no in between. When we turn up and we play like we did against Chelsea, I think back to that first half against Man United, the 3-0 a few years back, or last year was it? You think of the night against Barcelona all those years ago. The first half against Bayern Munich. I think the biggest issue that people question, and rightly so, is why can't we do that week in, week out? I think realistically, we'll never do it week in, week out, because that is moronic to think that we would play that well every week. Every team has an off spell, an off night, an off game, whatever. And no matter how much you try and be professional, when you're Arsenal, Man City, Man United, you're playing at home to Bournemouth, you do have an automatic sense of entitlement that you will beat these clubs. And I think when the fans are there, some of the fans, I've been to games where you hear the fans talking before the game, and there's an expectancy that you rock up, we'll win, we'll go over for a lovely couple of beers, and off we go. And I think sometimes that transmits to the atmosphere, which can cause its own sort of negativity, because people then automatically think, oh, God, it's only another crappy club today. So we're all going to get up for the bigger games. We're always going to see the better performances, against some of the bigger sides. But yeah, I can see John's point, and I can see other people's points. It is a little bit Groundhog Day. But the only thing I would say to that is, if you offered me Groundhog Day for the last 10 years, or 3 years of 8th, 4 years of 5th, 8 years of, do you know what I mean? I like the consistency, even if it is slightly below the level we'd like to be at.
Okay, point taken. Right, the next one is a bit of a statement from. Did someone say something then? My washing machine's on spin.
No, I was just going to ask Chris: is that kind of lax attitude why he's got himself into the predicament that he has at the Pirates?
Well, I'm consistently inconsistent. That's what I pride myself on.
Are you happy that you will always be known as the nearly man of Plymouth football?
The nearly man.
The nearly man.
So
nearly won the game.
Let me ask you a question. If I deliver silverware within the next 18 months, will you take back the comments you've slanderously thrown at me tonight?
Furthermore, I will completely support it. Furthermore, I will wear a Carpenter In shirt and post it on Twitter.
Danny, get that soundbite, please. Trophies are coming, boys and girls. Trophies are coming.
Yeah. When a new manager comes in, maybe.
Soon.
Not under you. We can all see your failures. You're like fucking Swiss cheese. Your argument's got so many holes in it. Jog on.
Got nice kits, though.
Right, this next one is from Lee Dempster. There's a P there. Dempster, not Dempster. He says, does the panel believe, like I'm starting to, that having Wenger for 2 more years is probably the safest pair of hands, while the board realise they have to transition the club from one man doing 4 to 5 jobs to hiring individual people like a director of football, basically to give themselves 2 years to fill the appropriate roles Arsene takes on now on his own, so when he does leave in 2 years, it's just a head coach we'll be looking for rather than 2 to 3 roles in one go this summer. And then he sent me another DM on the pod account, also #Carpenter out. So Gimli, we've been going now for an hour and a half. We said we'd finish at an hour and a half, so just quickly answer that. You can all have a go on that.
No, go let someone have a go on it first.
Okay, I'll ask you a different question after if you want.
Okay, yeah, go. That's good. Yeah,
Simon.
I think it would make a lot of sense if that was the plan that they were doing. Simply because as he says, it's not just one role that needs a place when Wenger goes. That there probably will need to be a director of football. You're going to need to revamp the whole backroom staff, because people like Bora Primrich and Jerry Payton, these guys are loyal to Wenger. They're going to need changing. And I think in terms of Wenger, we've seen the loyalty to the club, how much he loves Arsenal. I really don't think he would be in a situation with Arsenal where, I know now he says he's going to decide in March or April, but given what we know about this man, how much he cares about this club, do you really think he would leave them in the lurch and say in April, with 2 months to go on his contract, oh yeah, I'm off now, you've got 2 months to sort everything out? I really don't think that. I think he's already made his mind up, he's going to stay, and he's just looking for that right moment to say, right, bam, I can sign the deal now, the positivity's there. Whether that's winning the FA Cup, whether that's going on a good run of the league, I'm not sure, but I really think he wants to stay, and then he can sign this 2-year deal. He can perhaps get a year into it, and then maybe 6 months to go, a year to go, he can say, right, this is my last bit, I'm leaving. And as we've seen with Enrique and other managers, it's not such a bad thing to say that. You can have a very good effect. And I think at Arsenal, that would have a good effect if Wenger, towards the end of his time, said, look, I'm leaving soon, because the whole place would lift, and they'd think, right, let's give him a good send-off. The fans would want to give him a good send-off. The players would want to give him a good send-off. And so I think, like he says, with this idea of getting people in and the succession, it does make a lot of sense. And given what we know about Wenger, I think he would see it the same way as the person asking the question did.
That would be Lee. That's a really good question. Cheers, Lee, because he screen grabbed it and asked him to DM it to us. Chris, would you mind if we moved on to it? I've got a question just for you if you want.
No, carry on.
Okay, well, this one will go for Gimli from AB Shangazi. Anyway, he says, is Theo a mediocre player for a top 6 side? If yes, what's his price tag and where do you see him playing next season, Mr. Gimli?
I could see a player like Theo Walcott at Liverpool. I can see his price tag around 25 million. What was the other part of that question?
Where do you see him playing next season, and how much do you think he's priced? Yeah, I think you've covered that, haven't you?
Yeah,
Liverpool. Is he a mediocre player for a top 6 side?
See, Theo's another one of the. He frustrates the living shit out of me. When Theo is good, he is the epitome of Arsenal as a football club. Because when they are good and it's all guns firing, they're unbeatable. But when they're bad, they're bad. You know? And I think Theo is the epitome of that. As it stands, I don't know. I'm so fucking on the fence with Theo Walcott. He's been playing well lately, and I think he's had a decent season, but you know, he's been here a long time. When's the next contract he's got to be offered?
I think he's just recently signed one. I'm just looking at his stats. I was just looking. It's his birthday today. It's happy birthday, Theo, from everyone.
Happy birthday, Theo.
Do you want to say happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Theo.
Happy birthday.
Good. Right, this season he has got 17 goals in 29 games. That's 1 goal every 1.705 games. His best season, 2012-13, he got 21 in 43. So it was 1 goal every 2.047. So he's having his best. And I reckon this season he could get. We've got 12 in the league and 1, possibly 2 in the FA Cup. So I reckon he could get another 3 or 4 this season. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Oh. Good. Right, question just for Chris. Anders Magnusson. I'll start it, so I'll finish. What's your wish list for the summer window? And this is why I saved it for you. Mine are Bernardo Silva, never heard of him, Lacazette, Kurzawa, Bakayoko. Wasn't he married to John Lennon? And reckon it's possible. So good luck with that.
Okay. Does he want me to speak about those particular players or the ones I'd actually like, or?
Do what you want, but do it in less than a minute.
Okay. So Levan Kurzawa, who you were trying to pronounce, is the PSG fullback formerly of Monaco. Personally note, because as talented as he is, he's a bit of a pillock, as is Jorier, and we know what's going on with him at the moment. So note, for if you want to buy a left back, go to Wolfsburg and you buy Ricardo Rodriguez. I know Simon agrees with that one. Alexandre Lacazette, I don't really need to say any more than I've already said. Shut up. Love him. You only have to look at his stats this season. Just go up and look. All those people that say he's in a shit feeder league and all this usual bollocks that people talk. Look at his goal scoring record. Yes, he scores a lot of penalties. Well, here's a news flash. We've missed plenty of penalties, so don't have a problem with that. Can play anywhere across the forward line. I take him in a heartbeat. That said, if Kylian Mbappe Lotin is available, he's obviously flavour of the month right now. Ask most French football experts and people like myself who are not experts but have followed it for a number of years. This kid was something special even last season in the limited time he got.
When you recently invited on to a specialist French podcast?
Might have been. Yes, might have been. Thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
How did it go?
What podcast was that, Chris? Tell the listeners.
The Get French Football News podcast. I did a debut on there talking about how shit Lorient were. So
are they big?
Yes, they are. They are arguably the biggest French football French football news outlet on the internet. So
yeah. I kind of feel like you cheated on us there.
Yeah,
sorry.
Shit on us. Carpenter out.
I did wear protection, if that counts.
All I'm saying, Chris, in regards to the Barbican Pirates, is don't be that blue CD.
No, don't. Be wrong.
Going back to the kind gentleman's question, the only other two, Bernardo Silva, yes, absolutely wonderful footballer. Got him from Benfica's reserves for 15 million euros. They're going to sell him for easily 50 million euros this summer. So yes, I take him. Bakayoko, I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much I can say. What I will say is we have had some discussions with him, and that deal is something that could happen if we decided we wanted to do it. That's as much as I can say. But hassle Jeff hassle Jeff Arsenal, and he'll tell you the same thing.
How about can we hassle Pirate Jeff? Will he know?
No, he's just pissed on sea shanties.
Oh, Jesus, no. This is more of a statement. No, it isn't. It's a question. This is for all of us. From Dan McGrath, someone who I think I've known him since my online Arsenal days, which is a very good Arsenal website. If you want to go there, go and join up, get joined in. I don't do that anymore because I'm too busy pressing record here. He says, as tomorrow is Paddy's Day. Ah, Petito! Oh, God, my mother's coming round tomorrow. She's going to get pissed and hit me. Got to sort out her car insurance. Bloody hell. It's driving at 74. Which Irish player, past or present, would you have liked Arsenal to have signed? Ooh, so we can all have a little think about that. Oh, I've got one while you lot are thinking. Roy Keane. Oh, imagine that, man. He was a beast. He's only, 4'8", and he stood up to Vieira week after week. I used to love Roy Keane playing for Ireland. Not that he did much, and he got sent home from a World Cup once. So my answer would be Roy Keane. Hands up if you've got an answer. Oh,
Me?
You go then.
Mine would be Damien Duff. I really fucking liked him. I know he played for Chelsea, but I thought he was a fucking great player.
Isn't he still playing? Didn't he go back to Ireland and finish his career there?
Might have done. And I loved him in his Fulham days as well.
Oh,
That great.
He
when
was
they
the one
did
that kept that team
Juventus
going.
over, and they almost got there.
Kris or Gimli, have you got one?
What, favourite Irish player?
Yeah.
What is Will Grigg?
Don't say
I heard
Nick
he's
Faldo.
I heard he's on fire.
He's Northern Irish, isn't he? Yeah.
There you go. He did go back to Ireland. He went back to play for Shamrock Rovers.
Can we have Georgie Best, or is it?
Yeah.
That's
That's
sneaky.
a shout. Yeah. I got one. Just purely, and if anyone hasn't seen this, I'm
Don't
not
say
going to.
Roy Keane or I'll cut you off.
No. I'm not going to ruin this for the listeners if you haven't seen this. Go to YouTube, Google John Aldridge USA 94. That's all I'm going to say. Just for that alone.
Was that the bit where they wouldn't let him come on as a sub? Where he went mental.
That's the one. Big Jack Charlton cutting off the UEFA guy or the FIFA guys. He tried to get him off the touchline. Absolutely brilliant. And that game. Do you remember that game? The 1-0 over Italy? Ray Houghton. Yeah.
Ray Houghton lobbed it from somewhere, didn't he? Outside the area. He
lobbed Paliuka, cutting in from the right hand side and chipped it over him from 20 yards. Yeah.
Gianluca Paliuka.
Yeah.
Gimli, have you got one? Did you say? I can't remember what you said.
No, I don't really. I'm just weighed down by wanting Carpenter out of the Pirates.
How about you do something nice and pick Andrew Mangan from Arscast to play for us?
Yes, he's Irish. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
And by the way, sorry, just before we wrap this up.
Oh, here we go. Come on, then.
Well, Mr. Gimli, you want me out so much. Well, why have you invited me onto this forum? Why, surely you're promoting the idea. You're giving me an open forum here.
In the same way that I respect Arsene Wenger, I believe that you have a right to answer the fan base and the people that think you're a cunt. Well, I mean, want you out of their football club.
Well, let's be honest. I am a cunt. I've never denied that fact.
Don't play nicely. Say some nasty things to make the people hate you.
Pirate TV have come up with another one. Pirate Fan TV. Does the AFC in AFC Freddy's name always stand for Always Failing Carpenter? Hashtag Always Failing Carpenter.
They've obviously researched and thought that through very cleverly.
Yes. That's ruled out half of ABW then, because it involves thinking.
Actually, what it actually stands for is always factually correct, is what it actually stands for.
Right, we need to get through some of the last few questions. Right, this one will go to Simon only from very own Fife, your prodigy. No, you're his prodigy with the quiff and the. And the loutish behaviour. He says, any of you been to Luxembourg? And if so, how long do you need?
I've never been to Luxembourg, sadly.
Oh,
no, nor I.
Supposed to be a very nice place, though.
Well,
if anyone's listening to this that has been to Luxembourg, what's Fife? What's Fife's at?
PR_ who are you? I still don't know why the fuck he's picked that.
Did you see the picture of him stood behind Arsene Wenger this week?
Did
Yeah.
I circled it on
wasn't it?
Twitter. He put a picture up and said, "Can you see me on this?" So I've circled it, and I just realised he's used it as his background picture. So I shall have him for copyright on that.
I
One
filmed it off the TV when BT Sport panned the crowd. I saw him behind
Actually,
the Japanese man with big ears.
he
I
had
quite
a, he
often
had
see FK.
Yeah.
FK
And Danny, there was a smiling Goonaholic in a picture behind Mr. Wenger this week. I saw. Did you see that one as well?
the man of mystery. We should say
Between Steve Bold's head and somebody else's. I can't remember who it was now.
we should also say congratulations to a friend of the pod, FK. He is now a daddy.
Yes.
Sweet. Yes, that's fantastic. Another baby Gooner.
Yes. Well done to FK and his lovely wife.
I think FK had very little to do with it, other than right at the beginning, and then washed his hands of it, and now he's claiming all the glory.
No, I reckon he
Carpenter.
he just walked up to her and went, "You're pregnant," and that was it. That's all that he. Yeah, it was just the voice. It's gonna be twins.
It's like Jedi mind tricks.
Right, one from Bobby. Check your booty. He says, "One for Kris. What would you do to get Mbappe and Lacazette into Arsenal if Alexis goes? P.S. Carpenter out." He really has.
The numbers don't lie.
No.
The amusing answer is, Danny, I'd sell your kidneys, and I wouldn't have any issue with it whatsoever. At the risk of being a bit more of a tease, I seriously think we've got a genuine chance of signing this kid. I really genuinely believe that. And I know people will be laughing and hilariously throwing their iPods and phones to the floor in amusement at that. Other fruit-based devices. Hello to Jake and Isaacs, by the way. But no, I do. I genuinely do. People don't always know the full story, and I'm included in that, of course. But I hear certain things and read certain things. We were talking to him last summer. We talked to him again in October. There's a lot of discussions about whether Jorge Mendes is his agent. He isn't his agent. He does represent a lot of players that Monaco talk to or sell. Obviously, Falcao is one of the bigger ones. And yes, he does have his grubby little paws on some of Monaco's big assets. But Kylian Mbappe is a very
paws and big assets. You get me excited.
Sorry, Kylian Mbappe is one of the he's one of the A-grade talents in Europe, and he will be sought after this season. At the end of this season, I think me and Simon agreed on this. I would kind of like to see him stay at Monaco if we don't get him, because I think it'd be good for his career development. I've not been excited for a player of his age and his style since Nicolas Anelka, and I genuinely think that his love for Thierry Henry, Thierry is in his ear, make no mistake about that. And I think that a signing, yes, indeed, that a signing, if people genuinely want to know what, there's all this fighting about the manager. You sign a player like that, you see how quickly that fan base is less divided, or comes together in the next season, because he's that good a talent. He could bring this fan base back together again if he got.
He'd want to play for Wenger as well.
He would. Say, yeah, 100% right. He'd want to develop, and I know people are going, well, he doesn't develop players. Well, there's that voice again. Sorry, listener. Yeah, he would play, and there'll be no debating about, why Giroud playing, why we played Alexis up front. This kid would play every single week, and he'd get 25 goals a season. Promise you that.
Right, sure.
One quick one. At Pirate Fan TV, yes. We at #PFTV have obtained footage of at Barbie Pirates FC at Alex Hambley 94 talking to SB Frankfurt manager. Is the player about to leave? And then a short time after that, it says, we have had a court injunction placed upon us not to release the footage. Players jumping ship, and in brackets, it's put full pun intended, #Carpenter out. Kris.
John Cross was tweeting about this earlier.
Yes.
Listen,
what do you have to say?
I don't comment or speculate on the future of my players. All I will say is that Alex Hambley has a 4-year contract with 9 goals and 9 starts this season with 8 goals. He's very much part of the future of the club, and I will not be commenting or discussing any speculation around his future at this stage. And any approach at this stage will be deemed illegal, and the manager in question will be held up before the FA. Indeed.
Would you like to follow that with a #Brexit?
Hashtag Carpenter in.
Right, we have to quickly do some more questions. Spomeared says worm or slug. I would go worm every time. Chris, I'd like to see you carpenter that.
Sorry, I missed the first.
Worm or slug?
Worm or slug?
Yeah.
Slug, because that's
Danny.
what the fans think of him.
Danny. I'll go with Danny on that answer.
Gosh,
I'm going worm also.
Simon, I bet you look like a slug man.
100% slug. You got a fucking rucksack on your back. It looks fucking dynamite.
That's it. Right then. Liam Edwards asks, sell Ramsey, yay or nay? Chris is the only one who's allowed to answer that. Chris?
Yay.
There you go. Liam has a new account because he was silly enough to tweet video, and people don't learn. Don't tweet videos or retweet videos. You get in trouble. This is a really good one from Jeff Barker. Which player do you feel needs to elevate their game most for us to win the FA Cup? Personally, I'd pick Ozil. Gimli, what do you reckon?
I'd go Ozil again.
Simon?
Check.
Ooh, Chris?
He stole my answer. Bastard!
Crocodile.
Olivier Giroud.
Right, fair enough. Who do you want to... Bearded Dragon has asked one about the manager. Who do we want? We can't really answer that because I don't know.
Can I ask a question to all of you? One word answer.
Go on.
Were you happier or more annoyed that we drew Man City over Spurs? So were you happier with City or would you prefer Spurs? Happy?
I'd rather lose in the semi-final.
Oh, fuck off. Miserable cunt. Simon?
Happier because I think, yeah, City are worse than Spurs.
Agreed. Kim?
I really wanted Spurs.
Ooh. Dissension in the ranks.
Spurs no. Just from my point of view, the fan base is toxic, and I think a big game like that at Wembley against Spurs, and if we beat them, that puts us all back on a high.
Another quick question: do you think Wenger? This is a serious question, and not taking the piss. If Wenger lost the FA Cup final to Spurs and finished below them in the league, do you think he could carry on?
Yeah.
Harry Carey on the halfway line.
Yeah, I think he would. But because
he wouldn't. I'd carry on.
He wouldn't want to leave on that note, would he, Si?
But can you imagine the?
I don't even want to think about it. It'd be horrendous.
I don't know if it's worse for him losing to Mourinho in the final or Spurs.
But what better way to celebrate his new 4-year contract, winning the FA Cup against Spurs and finishing fourth, and making all those people really, really miserable? I'm trolling, I know, but it would be funny, wouldn't it?
We've got 3 more questions. Limaro FIP Amma. Jesus. In 92-93, we were favourites to win the league. We ended up mid-table, but with 2 cups. I loved it. Would you take a season like that again? I would. Chris?
No.
Right, is that done, Gimli?
No.
Simon?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, a bit of fun. It's Luso von Ajax is just making a point about Leicester, the last team in the Champions League who have spent the lowest amount of money. That's good. And the final question is a really good one from Norbury Man. Top player from the past you always wanted to see play for Arsenal. His one was Pavel Nedved, the Juventus and some foreign team legend. My personal one, I think it's a toss-up between Luca Toni and Baggio. I think I'd go Baggio. Chris, you've got one? I know I can hear it.
No, because I was going to say Zlatan, but he's not the past, is he? So come back to me.
Oh, Simon, have you got
one? Brazilian Ronaldo.
Oh, he could kick a ball. In his PSV days before he was fucked.
I've got 2. I would have absolutely loved to have seen Patrick Kluivert at Arsenal. I think he would have been superb.
He nearly signed, I think, at one point.
Yeah, he did. I remember reading it on teletext.
Well, that's facts, that is. They did
that's fucking fact. 302, wasn't it?
302, page 303 for news, 324 for the table. Yeah.
Fucking lovely stuff.
Life was so much simpler then.
It was. And better.
Or the other one would have been Del Piero.
Oh, you bastard! That was the one I was going to say.
Can you imagine Brazilian Ronaldo and Henry up front in a 2?
It's just big Perlo.
I've got a stalk on just thinking about it.
Messi, greatest player ever in the world ever.
Plays in the best league in the world, Danny. Don't knock it. Del Piero was the one, because I remember back in the days when there was a story in the Daily Mail that it was his time at Juventus and he was keen to come to London. But yeah, Del Piero would be would be the obvious one. I'm sure there are others, but yeah.
We almost got
Sorry,
Brisbane as well,
bro.
didn't we?
Oh, actually,
Bullfrogs
Lilian
are-
Thuram would have been a nice one as
Oh,
well.
that's boring. That's every question we had answered. I don't think we've missed out on. Gimli, just have to do predictions now.
Wonderful. Predictions and shout-outs. The predictions is for, West Ham away. So, Danny,
West
let's
Brom.
kick off with West Brom, away.
It's 12:30 kickoff. Means we'll be fucked. I'm going 1-1 Walcott.
I'm going cloudy with a chance of flyovers. Chris?
Meatballs.
3-1 the Arsenal, Giroud first scorer.
Jesus Christ, that's why you're bottom of the league.
I'm not bottom of the league. You'll fix the
You
league.
will be after this unless you fuck your
Simon.
ideas up.
Simon.
GFP out.
It's a horrible game, but West Brom look like they're on the holidays. So I think 2-0 Arsenal, Sanchez.
And I'm going to go 2-0 Ozil. And lovely.
I did have Tim down here. Hold on. Delete. What was yours, Gimli? 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0
Good.
Ozil.
Ozil. Cheers, Tim.
Thanks,
And the
thanks
listeners
for
at
showing
home
up.
and on the tractor.
Yes, the next one is shout-outs. My first shout-out goes to @PirateFanTV.
Fucking knew that was coming.
You fucking knew it. Again, Chris, I've said it once before on this podcast. I'll say it again. Don't be that blue CD. Hashtag no new contract. Hashtag Carpenter out. Hashtag Brexit.
Brexit. Yes, knew that was coming as well.
Danny.
Wow, this is a weird one. Xavier Rouvois, heard of him, Chris?
Yes,
I tweeted the 21st of June 2014 at Hove Clock End. I never could spell Xavier Rouvois. Every show you felt you were learning something. He's just retweeted it. We just liked it.
Awesome.
Nearly 3 years later.
What a legend.
So that is, if anyone wants to know, it's at XAVIRIV. And what does he do? And he does. He's from Lille. Ooh,
Do you know what? Weird enough, there is a man sat downstairs on my sofa that is almost as slow as that.
I don't know if it's actually him because he's following 5,001 people and he's got 2,000 followers. So I'm not sure if that's really him, but that's made me laugh. It's taken 3 years to get a reply.
I should say hello to Mel and Fred and Kate and Vicky who are sat downstairs. Let's move on. Chris?
Come back to me. I'm still looking at it.
Oh,
I should also say that the latest blog is out. It's by Drew. It's why it all needs to be burnt to the ground. It's about him having a chit chat with one of his mates, and it's an interesting read as usual. Well done to Jeff because Jeff is really snowed under with work because he's now in charge of the whole of Canada, and he's busy driving around with no pants on in his 4-litre V8 BMW convertible, lording it around, picking up Dom and cruising for chicks.
Okay.
So. There you go.
Tim? Oh, I reckon that Pirate Fan TV needs a good shout out. That Pirate Fan TV.
How could you, Tim?
That Chris, he's a fucking liability, isn't he? Yes, he is, Tim. Simon?
Sorry for that. My one is going for Highbury Corner because they are opening a shop at King's Cross, which is where I get the train to when I go into London. So it's fucking brilliant news for me. And for anyone else who gets on that train, which gets into King's Cross, go and get their pies because they are amazing. I don't think they're having the named after Arsenal players at the ones in King's Cross, but I normally get a Dennis Bergkamp or a Tony Adams. So they are fucking lovely.
They tweeted a picture of their new view, and as everyone knows, the Highbury Corner are our number one favourite pie-based shop in the whole of the planet, the whole of the universe, even.
Yes.
Yes. And one day they might even name a pie after us. It will just be full of bullshit.
The Carpenter out.
They should call it the hashtag Brexit.
Just pastry with loads of Kit Kats in it.
That's the Davies special.
The Welsh Justice. I feel we need to end this particular silly podcast.
Shall I do any shout outs or shall I not?
Go on then.
I found a couple of quickies.
I got 12.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Firstly, Gimli out. No. Clive at Clive PAFC. Superb.
Blogger.
Just
brilliant
superb.
guest. We'll have to get him back on again soon.
He's very, very good. Yeah, I could listen to him for hours.
He's
Speaks a lot
on
of
a
sense.
ramble regularly, so go and have a look at those people. With brilliant podcast.
He also joined Arsblog last week, so that's worth a listen as well.
He's beyond us now. We'll never see him again. He's reached the pinnacle.
Away with the fairies. No, he's a top man, Clive. Really, really good follow. And also, I mentioned him earlier on, but if you fancy an opinion that isn't Arsenal orientated, have a chat to our mate. No. Less said about him, the better. Ross Bramble at Ross Bramble. He's a Saints fan. Danny knows him. John Welsh knows him. It's part of my other podcast. He's genuinely lovely bloke. Very wise. Knows his stuff about anything Championship or below. He's very, very wise.
Shit tasting music though.
Yeah, he often, true story, he often lurks when we do our radio shows and he laughs at our fan base in a sort of, not in a mocking way, but just in a, wow, you think you've got problems. Try being a Southampton fan 5 years ago when we were nearly liquidated. So, yeah, if you fancy an alternative opinion, he's a very good follow. He's a top bloke.
Lovely stuff. So that's about all we've got time for. We hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. It's been a little bit of a different flavour. We hope you've enjoyed it. All that's left now then is to really thank my panelists, Kris, Tim, that's all right, Simon, and of course, Danny, you have to be here.
And you have to be here, and it's nice to have you back again.
Thank you very much. I am back full time now.
Because you're a globe-trotting businessman who's usually away with the fairies and on business.
Don't keep the man down. That's what I say. Power to the people. So that was a Barbican Pirate podcast. Carpenter out. Good night.
Diggity-dog cold fruit and down with the Nazis. Hello, Jason Isaacs.
All of you are cunts.
Good night.
Diggity-dog cold fruit and down with the Nazis. Hello, Jason Isaacs.
All of you are cunts.
You're not including Simon in that, are you?
Yes, even him.
The quiff.
We must have pissed him off.
Jesus, I've never heard such the likes before. What if Fife hears this? He'll be turning in his caviar and his silk sheets.
I think people will love that because that's what we do best. Have a laugh.
Make shit up. Just talk nonsense.
Highbury Corner, just fucking Kit Kats and pastry.
What if they did a Davis special? It's just a sweet crust pastry stuffed full of Kit Kats with a few Kit Kats sticking out of a hairy end.
Loads of hair in the pastry. Just pulling it out in between your teeth.
With a faint smell of mint sauce.
Oh,
It'd be mint sauce and Kit Kat flavoured.
If they did a Murtha pie, it would just be amphetamine and energy can.
And use crack needles.
Yeah, Happy Shopper energy can.
Amazingly, we've not sold many of the Jason Davies yet. Not one.
not one.
You could have your Fife one that would just be caviar and foie gras. And it'd be 900 quid for one pie.
And Jeff's would be
and only 5 buys it.
and Jeff's would be full of maple syrup and shave gel.
John,
and it has an overwhelming form of brewery.
Old Spice, and what's the other one?
Old Fife.
Old Fife.
John Welsh's is just cheap perfume and pubes, just pastry.
And for some unexplained reason, the pie has got 8 legs, and it scuttles around on the plate.
If you don't eat it quickly, you don't stab it soon.
Crab cakes.
Maybe we should get the listeners to send in their ideas for ABW based. Pies.
Yeah.
We could do our own range, Gimli. You could knock them up in your kitchen.
You know, the Goon and Gimli is 50% cannabis.
That's it. That's all it is. Just star cakes, hash cakes, whatever you call them.
If you have a Gimli, don't expect to do anything for the rest of the day.
Bombs would just be kangaroo meat, no pastry, just lean kangaroo meat on
Just
some leaves
meat.
or something like
Fucking meat.
Just
And then you just get the urge to run and shag at the end of
that.
it.
Just a kangaroo on a didgeridoo and some fucking.
Right, cunts, I'm going because I've got to do another fucking podcast now.
That's the Easter egg sorted
How
anyway.
do you cope just talking endlessly?
I'm going to go have another thing. I'm going to go have another dessert. So
Oh, it's
You're
hard
not
life.
going double Raj, are you?
could do.
Double Raji.
Yeah,
That's
the Raj pie would just be stuffed full of profiteroles and what's
Raj's would be pastry, cased in pastry.
and then
Pastry on pastry.
It'd be huge, stuffed full of fresh cream, profiteroles, and Ferrero Rocher.
and I think there would be like a little pastry cross on top.
Oh yeah,
with a pastry milkshake.
Yeah.
And you have to eat it in one of those confession booths. It's the only place you're allowed to eat it.
Don't forget to have the slice of pepperoni on top of that as well. Just one slice.
Yeah.
Right, I gotta go because I've got guests downstairs as well. Was the audio perfectly good on this tonight?
Yeah, no, it was a little bit distant, but it'll have to do for now. It's good. It'll do. It's better than most podcasts have as their main thing.
That's good anyway.
Yes.
Danny, you've got the music. You know what to do. And yes, I'm off.
Right. See you later, guys.
All right,
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.